it's Corey, and today you're gonna learn how to play Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid. So I actually have an old tutorial for this song on my channel already, but it was one of the first tutorials I made, and I figured since there's going to be the new reboot of The Little Mermaid coming out, it might be a good opportunity to do a refresh of the tutorial. So if you're familiar with that old version, it's mostly the same, but a little bit different, and I've updated some of the strumming patterns that we're going to be using. It's also worth knowing that this is in the original key, so if you'd like to be able to play along with the recording, you can do that. But otherwise, let's hop into the tutorial. For this version of the song, we do have 9 chords, so there's quite a few chords here, but most of them are pretty familiar to anybody who's been playing ukulele for a little bit, and there might be 1 or 2 new ones, but I'm going to show you how to play all of them. We're going to first start with an A7 chord. For the A7, it's just our first finger placed on the 3rd string of the 1st fret. We also only play that chord 1 time in the whole song, so it's mostly adding color, but every chord that we have here, I'd really recommend you to use everyone in this song, and it might just take you a little longer to build up the chops to be able to play it, but it's going to make the song way more worth it in the end. The next chord we're looking at is the A minor chord. That's going to be your 2nd finger placed on the 4th string, 2nd fret. Next, we have the B flat major chord. You're going to start with your 1st finger and then bar across strings 1 and 2 on the 1st fret. Then you're going to take your 2nd finger and place it on the 2nd fret 3rd string, and then your 3rd finger is going to go on the 4th string 3rd fret. We're also using a B flat minor in this song as well. If you already know how to make the B minor chord here, it's actually the same exact shape. You're just moving 1 fret down on the fretboard. And to make this, you're just taking your 1st finger and you're barring all the way across the 1st fret. You're then going to take your 2nd finger here and just place it on top to give the 1st finger extra support when pressing down on all those strings. You're then taking your 3rd finger and placing that on the 4th string, 3rd fret. And that is your B flat minor. This is also a chord we're only using just a couple times in the song, but it really adds some beautiful color, and you really need it in order to hit some of those more emotional points in the song. Next, we have a pretty easy chord with the C major. It's just going to be your 3rd finger placed on the 1st string, 3rd fret. After that, we have the D minor chord. You're going to start with your 1st finger here, place that on the 2nd string 1st fret. Then you're going to put your 2nd finger on the 4th string 2nd fret and your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret 3rd string. Then we have an F major chord. You're going to start by placing your 1st finger here and on the 2nd string of the 1st fret. Then you're going to take your 2nd finger and place it on the 4th string of the 2nd fret. We also use an F7 chord, so we're going to actually start in our F major chord position, and the F7 is going to be an extension of that. From your F chord, you're going to take your 3rd finger and place it on the 3rd string of the 3rd fret, and then take your 4th finger or your pinky and place it on the 1st string of the 3rd fret, and then you have your F7. At first, this looks a little difficult, but when you think of it as just being an extension, it ends up being a little easier. This is also a chord we're only going to play a couple times in this song, but it really adds that color to have that kind of emotional depth harmonically represented. And lastly, we have the G7 chord. To make that, you're taking your 1st finger, placing it on the 2nd string of the 1st fret. Then you're putting your 2nd finger on the 3rd string of the 2nd fret, and then your 3rd finger is going to go on the 1st string of the 2nd fret. And those are all the chords you need for this song. So once you are at least familiar enough with those chords that you don't have to look directly at the chord charts to be able to play them, then that's a good time to start looking at the strumming patterns and the picking patterns we're going to use for this song. We're going to be using a combination of a main strumming pattern, a main picking pattern, and then a few instances where we add a couple strong down strums. The strumming pattern we're using is a down, up, down, down, up, down, down, down. So we'll just be repeating that over and over again in the main strumming part of the song, which essentially starts when we get I wanna be where the people are. So if I were to play that in time with the song with the opening line of where this starts, it would sound like this. I wanna be where the pattern really offers a nice accompaniment for the main melody of the song. Other than that main strumming pattern, the other thing we're going to be using for a pretty large chunk of the song is going to be a really simple picking pattern. I'm going to demonstrate this also just using the C chord, but what we're going to be playing is placing your thumb on the third string, your index finger or your first finger on the second string, and then your second finger or your middle finger here on the first string. I want you to pluck the pattern of 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's basically what you're gonna do, but just repeat it over and over and over again. The actual picking pattern, the way it's notated in the play along that's available on my Patreon and that you'll see in the play along in this video, is actually going to be 3, 2, 1, 2. The reason for that is when you get to that last 3, that's actually the start of the next picking pattern. We're going to play this pattern twice, and then that will represent most of the time an entire chord. So at the beginning of this song, we start on a B flat and then move to a C major. In the accompaniment for the recorded song, you hear the do 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 do. That's actually pretty hard to play on the ukulele, so an easier version is what we're emulating here using this picking pattern. So you're going to alternate between the B flat and the C major. So for instance, if I have this B flat, I'd have 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2. Then I'm gonna go to my C major and play 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, switch, switch. You'll continue this pattern until you get to I want to be where the people are. The only thing you'll be having to keep note of is that you're going to be changing different chords throughout this little introduction section. Most of the time, you're going to be playing the pattern for 2 full patterns before switching a chord. There's 1 or 2 times where that's not going to be the case, but it's very clearly indicated in the play along where that's going to change. So you just have to see and then switch when it comes. You're not going to have to switch chords though in the middle of the picking pattern. It's always going to be at the top of a new rotation through. Now that we have the picking pattern and the main strumming pattern out of the way, let's look at some of the stylistic things we're going to be adding using down strums. The first place this is going to happen is at the very end of our intro section, where we get to, but who cares, no big deal, I want more. I'm going to play this entire little section that I'm referring to first, that way you can hear it, and then I'm going to break it down to let you know what you need to do in order to emulate it. I've got who's it's and what's it's galore. You want thingamabobbs? Well, I got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. I wanna be where the people are. In this section, I'm utilizing both our strumming pattern, our picking pattern, but I'm also adding a couple strong down strums in order to give some extra emphasis before we go into the main verse section. This starts with is our picking pattern, where I'm just going 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2. And what's really great in this section is I'm rotating between a D minor chord and the G7. So I can use my first finger as an anchor point where I'm just moving my second and third across the fretboard in order to move from that D minor to G7. So there's no reason why you should be lifting fully from your D minor all the way to a G7, because really you're just moving the 2 fingers. Once I get to the but who cares, I'm just doing a really nice strum that's a little light, where I'm making sure I'm striking each of the strings evenly but slowly as well. And then I'm going to repeat that over no big deal. And then when I get to more, I'm going to start my strumming pattern. I'm going to have I want more. I will do a full strumming pattern, and then I'm going to give the ukulele 4 strong strums down before I get into the verse. Get to the very end of this verse, which ends with what's that word again, street. Essentially, we're going to be doing the same thing, only minus the picking pattern. We'll have what's that word again? Street, 3, 4. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go back into under and free, wish I could be. And this is the next part where we're going to change it up. We're going to do one strumming pattern and then another 1, 2, 3, 4. But that 1, 2, 3, 4 strong strums is going to lead into the part of your world. And it'll sound like this. Wander and free, wish I could be part of that world. And then you're going to continue into the next verse. When we get to Bright Young Women, we're going to do the thing again where we're going to have 4 strong strums through that line on stand. The only difference is here, we're going to still play the C major for 1 strumming pattern and then hit our 4 strums. It will sound like this. Bright young women, sick of swimming, ready to stand. I'm ready to know what the people know. This will continue until we get to the very end of Burn. So for that one, we're not going to play it for a strumming pattern, just going to hit the 4 down strums. Basically, we follow that same trend as what we did going into the next chorus. On this last chorus, we're going to continue just playing on the strumming pattern until we get to Out of the Sea. When we get to Out of the Sea, we're going to go back to just strumming really delicately on a single down strum, hitting each string as evenly as possible. Then on Wish I Could Be, you'll want to give that a little bit of hang time on that B flat. So make sure you really get that sounded really nice and evenly, because it's going to be the last thing people hear before you go back into part of that world. And then on that final strum, you'll just strum down rather than a regular strum. You want to hit each string individually to let it ring out. Here's what the ending might sound like. I'm going to be emulating for this recording the newer version that's been released, at least. There might be other things that are different about the cover, but I've only ever heard the ending part so far, so that's what I'm going to emulate here because my old tutorial does the original one. Out of the sea, wish I could be part of that world. And that will end out the tune. Now, if these little stylistic things don't kind of vibe with what you want for your version of this song, feel free not to do them, or you could add other ones too. Really, this is just kind of a guide of what I think sounds pretty authentic to the recorded version or other really famous recorded versions that are out there, while also providing you with all of the parts that you'd need to be able to make this your own. So if any of those sections seemed a little confusing to you at all, make sure to watch the play along. That's going to start in just a second because it puts everything together without any pauses or stops. Also, if you're looking for the song sheet for this song or any of my other tutorials or play alongs, I have that up on my Patreon, so you can always look there for additional resources and stuff. But with that, let's give it a play along. 1, 2, here we go. Stuff, isn't it neat? Wouldn't you think my collection's complete? Wouldn't you think a girl who has everything? Look at this trove, treasures untold. How many wonders can one cavern hold? Looking around here, you think, sure, she's got everything. I've got gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I've got who's its and what's its galore. You want thingamabobs? Well, I got 20. But who cares? No big deal. I want more. Don't part of that world. Alright, well I hope you guys liked that updated version of Part of Your World from Little Mermaid. Let me know if you're excited to see the reboot. Everything I've seen of it looks good from the trailer. I'm really excited about a number of the actors and actresses that are in the roles, and I don't know, I have high hopes for this one. Maybe it's because The Little Mermaid is one of my favorite Disney movies, but I hope it ends up being great. Either way, so far at least the music sounds fantastic. So let me know what you think, and if you have any other Little Mermaid songs that you would like to see made in tutorial, if I potentially already have one, check it out on my channel, and if not, comment down below and let me know what you'd like to see. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Well, I got 20, but who cares? No big deal. I want